Well, I have wanted an SJ action camera for the longest time. I've had a lot of action cameras. The TI T5e, which was a great camera that was lost. The 4K Plus, which had the best possible picture quality I think you can find. But the processor ran far too hot and sort of bricked the camera. So when sjcam released the SJ8 series, I knew I had to have one. The SJ8 Pro is the top-of-the-line camera that can record 4K at 60 frames per second. It has the ability to use a 6-axis gyro, H.265 recording, digital zoom, lens distortion correction, and many other features. It does not have GPS or voice commands, however, and I was a bit worried about the Umbrella H22 chipset, as this was the only camera to date that I know of that uses this chipset. Now let's start by talking about the positives of this camera. Positive number one, of course, is that 6-axis gyro, which can be used in 1080 at 30 and 60, and 1440 at 30, 2.7K at 30, and 4K at 30. It is almost gimbal-like. I would have to say that it's probably the best and actually really does come close to the GoPro Hero 6 Black. The second feature that I really like, or the second high point, is the sound quality out of the camera's internal microphone. Again, it is stereo. It does not seem to be that much affected by the wind, and you do have the ability to adjust the sensitivity. So, really great sound quality. The next best thing about this camera is the image quality, particularly at 4K, at 30 and 60. A lot of really rich colors, a lot of really good contrast, too. You don't lose too much detail, even when recording at 4K at 60. You don't lose detail the way you would with some other cameras that seem to be just a little too contrasty or seem to process the image a little too much. As you can see in this particular image, there is a lot of detail. The shadows aren't too crushed. Very high quality for an action camera. Yet all was not good with this camera. This is actually the second SJ8 Pro that I've had. The first one was defective. It would not record at 4K at 60. It would lose sync when you were doing anything other than 1080. The image had a lot of tearing, and it was just a mess. And sjcam did send me a new unit, which is the one I'm using now, and I'm very grateful to them, and it's a very good camera. I did have some problems, however, even with this unit. Getting it to accept a firmware update to the most recent firmware was a bit challenging. But other than that, and other than one little bit of corruption, it may have been more down to the memory card I was using, I have not had any trouble with the SJ8 Pro after that. Battery life is good. The camera doesn't seem to get too hot, even at 4K at 60. And the H.265 recording feature is nice. There is a little bit of loss of quality, but again, this is an action camera. It's not a TV camera. It's not a cinematography camera. It's a cool action camera, and it can produce some very usable shots.
Had plenty of precipitation. You coming, Libby?
Good sit. Stay. Come. Come. Good girl. Libby, home. Libby, home. Come. It's a good girl. It's a good Libby. Oh, I smell something. Look at her.
It's like this. And that flickering on the screen seems a little... Okay. We're just going to do a quick test here of 2.7K. We'll walk to the end of the driveway. And of course, this is on the iSteady gimbal because 2.7K does not allow for gyro state. And we'll do the same thing at 1440. We'll walk. Very gingerly, like so. And we'll walk it on back. Boom, 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 boom.
The only problem I have with the SJ8 Pro is that the bit rates are kind of low for 1080. This seems to be mitigated a little bit if you record 1080 at H.265. That seems to make the image a little bit sharper, have a little less artifacting. But I think sjcam really focused on the 4K, and that may have been at a little bit of the detriment to regular HD. And I still think a lot of people relying on regular HD recording. I know I certainly do, especially just for goofing around. I can, however, recommend the SJ8 Pro, although I think their mid-range model, the SJ8 Plus, is a little bit more stable. I haven't had one, but I think if sjcam continues to pursue updates and firmware for the SJ8 Pro, that it can be a very good action camera for its price point. So I recommend this camera, and I'm going to continue to use it and continue to update. Thank you for watching.